Okay. I think we'll wait like 2 more minutes, see if anybody else wants to join us, and then we will get started. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I want to thank everybody for coming. We may have some stragglers come in as we go along, but the good news is we're recording this for posterity and also to put this up on our website so that it will act as a tutorial for future sim owners. As a learning tool, this is going to be more of a beginner's review workshop of region ownership and management here in IO, and then we'll do a more advanced workshop coming up probably in the next couple weeks. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Paolino. I am co-owner and co-founder here in IO, along with my wife, Sugar, who's also co-owner, co-founder, and Will Paolino is the region support director. So I want to welcome everybody here and thank you for coming. Will is acting as your first point of contact for any region-related issues. So if you're encountering performance issues, or if you're encountering really any kind of issue related to your region, he is the first level of support. You would contact him first. And then if the issue is something that needs to be escalated, then he would do that. We would most likely utilize our trouble ticket system to ensure that the issue doesn't fall through the cracks, and also give you the opportunity to monitor the status of the issue. As we work on it, we would give you access to that trouble ticket. 1 second here. Okay. Sorry. All right. The purpose of this workshop is to go over some basics, basic information about regions, how to effectively manage your region, and to troubleshoot issues you might be encountering on your region. That's the main focus here. We're going to go over a few troubleshooting steps that you can go through, but we're going to start by going through some guidelines and information. We're going to try and squeeze this into a 1-hour session. So I have a tendency to talk fast, so I'm going to try and pace myself so that I don't go too fast through this information. And then at the end, we'll open the floor for question and answers. And again, this is all being recorded and will be part of a tutorial series for region owners in IO. The first thing that I want to talk about is the power tools, what we call the power tools. It's a set of tools that are available to all region owners on our website. And I have some slides to go along with this. Please tell me that is in order.
I don't know.
Well, I have the slides in the order that I want them. So, okay. So for region owners, to do things like restart your region, to do backups of your region, to do restores of your region, to do scheduled backups. That's probably one of the newest features that we've added since we implemented the power tools, and that is the ability to schedule backups. So if you have a SIM, and for example, you want your SIM to be restarted twice a week, you can go in and do that. You can set up a restart schedule and say, go ahead and restart my SIM every Tuesday at 2 a.m. or every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 a.m. or however frequently you want to do that. The power tools allow you to do that. So the first step is to go to the website and click the resident login button. Excuse me. And then you would log in. Oh, hello, Wizard. We're just getting started, so you haven't really missed anything. I just talked about the focus of this meeting is to really go over how to effectively manage your SIM and to go over some troubleshooting things and how to deal with any issues you might be encountering with your region. So the next step is to go in and go ahead and log in to the website using your avatar account. And that brings you to your account manager. From here, and this is not just for region owners, but from here, this section allows all of our residents to do all sorts of things like purchase currency, sell currency, set up a partnership, dissolve a partnership, change your account information, your email, your password, that kind of stuff. Look at your financial transaction history. Look at the regions that you do have, or if you're on free land, there's a section in there that tells you what free land you have, what parcel it's on, and what region it's on, so you can easily find it. How many days do you have left? Because we now have it set up where the free land is 60 days only. So this would tell you, how many days you have left on your current lease, and how many total days you have left to use the free land. So there's a lot of important and good information in this account manager section. If you have not been there yet, you should do that. Become somewhat familiar with this because it's all right there for you, neatly organized into sections and easy to find and easy to use. The first thing I'm going to talk about is restarting your region. And I can probably go to the next slide. I think this is a demonstration. I think Will put these slides together for me. I appreciate that, Will. And this next section, I think, shows your region list. Yes. Right. So this is an example of what your region list might look like. The region manager will show it's broken into sections. The top section is the region list. Any and all regions that you own, or any regions that you have estate rights to. And when I say that, estate rights for the website is slightly different than what you might be accustomed to in World. In World, the landowner can give you estate rights and make you an estate owner or make you an estate manager. And that way you can access certain sections in your viewer and see certain things. With the website, let's say I purchased a SIM and I want to make Will an estate manager and give him the ability to do my restarts for me. We would have to send a note card to the grid and request that he be added so that when he logs on, my SIM will show up in his list. And that way, he can then do backups, restores, restarts. So this is what the list looks like. And if you look at it, it's pretty basic. You'll see the SIM name, the type of region that it is, whether it's a gift SIM. So in other words, if it's what we call a rogue, and we'll go over that. Rogue stands for Region Owner Appreciation Gift. And also whether or not you are the estate owner. So in this case, there's 4 regions, and the person that logged in here is the estate owner of all 4 regions. It shows the status that all regions are online, and the type column shows you whether it's an economy, a landscape region, or an elite region. And so the letters, when you look at this, the letters translate into C is for economy, L is for landscape, and E is for elite. If you have been here for a while, before we went and we changed the region types to elite, economy, and landscape, we had full homestead and landscape. So if you've been a landowner for quite a while, you might see a type of H or F in there for homestead or full. But this list is showing us 4 regions, 2 economies, and 1 landscape. From here, you can click the select to the left of the region name, and when you do that, it will activate the buttons at the bottom that are appropriate. If you are the estate owner, then it will activate the restart, the shutdown, the backup, the upgrade, downgrade, and the change payment information. If you're not the estate owner, it will activate the restart, the shutdown, and the backup only. Only the estate owner can request an upgrade or a downgrade or change payment information. Okay. Now, why do we do this? Why do we have a tool on our website to do some restarts as opposed to doing it via the viewer? That's a good question. I get that because other grids allow you to do the restart through the viewer. Second Life, for example. We initially would have people do that, or we would have them send us a request to do the restarts manually. The issue is when you restart the sim through the viewer, what it does is it actually recycles the simulator, or recycles the region within the simulator. It doesn't actually shut the simulator down. So it doesn't actually release the resources that are being used on the server for your simulator. And it simply recycles them, but never releases them fully. So it actually causes more issues than what it solves. When sometimes I'll get an IM from somebody, and they'll say, "Hey, I'm having problems resing on my sim. No matter how many times I rebake, no matter how many times I change my clothes or my shape or my skin, I'm just a cloud. And everybody that comes to my sim is a cloud. I can go to the sandbox and I res fine, but when I come here, I don't." The first thing I ask is, when was the last time you restarted your sim, and how did you restart it? Because 9 times out of 10, when that scenario has come to play, it's because the sim was restarted through the viewer. Those are the types of symptoms that you might encounter if you're a state manager, or if you have restarted the sim through the viewer. Those are the types of things that occur. So we built a tool on the website that does a proper shutdown and a proper restart. It actually does send a shutdown request to the simulator. The simulator completely shuts down, and then it completely relaunches it from scratch. So it's a clean reboot, essentially, of your sim. The process only takes a couple minutes, so the benefit far outweighs the time it takes to process the request. Will, is there anything you wanted to throw in with this topic before I move on to backups and restores?
No, I just wanted to remind everyone that as he stated, it's really important that we complete region restarts from the website, not from the viewer. Damien's example is just one of the many potential side effects you could see if you continue restarting it from the viewer.
Okay, so for those of you here today who are, okay, Diana's typing, maybe she has a question. For those of you here who are landowners, if you want to go ahead and bring the website, up in a web browser like in Chrome or IE, and go ahead and log in and see your region list. And see how you can select it, and you could even do a restart if you wanted to right now. Just so you can kind of play with it, make sure there's nobody on your sim right now, because if they are, they'll get kicked off. But you know, become familiar with that if you aren't already familiar with it. And Venus is typing, so I'll wait for her. Okay, what kind of problems are you having? And we can get into troubleshooting issues, and maybe we'll come across something that will be helpful for you. Okay, it sounds like that's not a viewer, or that's not a region necessarily a region issue. That's maybe clearing cache. Might be something you'll have to do. We can talk to you about that. And if my clothes are loading on the cloud, yeah. There's a whole bunch of possible causes for that. We can discuss that, and Sugar can work with you with that too, because that sounds like a viewer issue. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and create a note card, and you can pass them to me after the session here. Backups and restores. That's a feature that we implemented. Oh boy, I don't know. Has it been a year that we implemented that? To my knowledge, we're the only grid that has it. And basically, the intention of this functionality was to allow people to take snapshots in time of your region and say, and for a couple of different reasons. Number one, the example I like to give is, let's say it's Christmas time, like it is now, and you spent weeks and weeks building your sim just the way you like it. Take a snapshot, take a backup of it, so that next year you can just restore that backup, and you don't have to go through all that work and rebuild your sim from scratch. Or if you have a design that you particularly like and you want to keep it for future use, you can do that. That's the intention of the backups and restores. So, I'll bring up the next slide. I think this one covers backups and restores. Yes. You're allowed to keep, for each region that you own, you're allowed to keep up to 5 backups on file for as long as you own the region. So, you can, let's say I create a backup, once a week. Some people do that just to give them that warm fuzzy that, I know that I can restore my sim if something should happen. Some people will every week delete the oldest one, create a new one, and keep 5, like a rotating 5 backups. Or if it's a situation where, that's really appropriate if you got like a mall or you've got a sim where there's a lot of activity going on. But let's say it's just your residence, and you don't necessarily need to take a backup once a week. Then, that's a scenario where a backup would be appropriate just so I can keep that design. I really like that design, and I want to change my sim, but I might want to go back to that, so let me go ahead and take a backup. And that process is very simple. You would actually go to, and I'll go back to the previous slide, go back to the region list where you see all your regions listed. You click the select link, and then the backup button will enable or become enabled, and you can click backup, and it will simply send a request to the simulator to create an OAR backup of your region. The OARs are stored on our servers. They are not delivered to the sim owner. You don't get them in an email. You can't download them. They are kept here. They're not designed for transporting content from our grid to a different grid. The purpose of the backups here is it's a convenience for you. It's a convenience to allow you to create snapshots of your region. No copy items are not backed up. Okay? Because, yeah, I've had someone bring that to my attention. That's an issue that we had to address. So the backups are here on the slide that's coming up now. In the event you want to restore a backup, you simply select the backup for the region you want to restore, and then click the restore button. And it will issue a request or issue a command to the simulator, and it will load that OAR file. And typically, after you load an OAR, you need to follow that up. Once the OAR is fully loaded, you typically have to follow that up with a restart. That's normal. Depending on the size of the backup, it might take a while to load. Now, when you're loading an OAR onto your region, you can be on the sim while it happens. So you can actually watch it all load, which is actually kind of cool. If you're standing on your region and you're loading a backup and you're restoring a backup, you actually see all the prims disappear, and then suddenly the backup data starts loading, and you start seeing prims pop up everywhere and the terrain and everything. It's really cool. And it backups everything, including if you have wind light settings or anything like that assigned to your region, those get backed up as well. Those settings get backed up as well, or restored and backed up as well. So that's pretty cool. That's fun to do and fun to watch. So that's a convenience we implemented for you guys, and that's available to you. So please become familiar. Use that feature. Use that feature. Okay. Don't be afraid to use it, and if you have questions or if you have issues with it, I'm open to submitting a trouble ticket on the website. Drop a note card in my mailbox. Shoot me an IM. Same thing, with Will. You can contact Will, and he can, address any issues that might come up too. Yeah. This will sound silly, but nothing sounds silly. Are the backups backed up with the rest of the grid? Yeah, I mean, we back up everything. We have multiple redundant copies of everything. So when you create an OAR, those OARs are backed up to the cloud. We have secondary location on the internal network, and then we also back them up to the cloud. Okay. All right, next. Scheduling automatic restarts. We'll get into the restarts here. And if you cancel the sim for any reason, the backups go bye-bye. They get deleted when the sim gets deleted. We don't keep them. We don't hold them for you for future use. They're gone. They're only available to you for as long as you own the region. Right. Okay. The next topic is restarts. And we talked a little bit about restarts before, but we're going to revisit that and talk about scheduled restarts. Yeah, when you create a backup, that backup is specifically for the region it was created from, and can only be restored to that same region. Okay. If you look at the slide on the projector here, you'll see that this is the typical pop-up that comes up when you choose a region. You select the select link, and then you click restart. This pop-up comes up. It'll show you certain things like the region name, and there's some instructions on there. You have two options. You can keep the pre-selected option of restart the region right now. So that's good for ad hoc restarts. I want to restart my sim right now. Or you can click the create a scheduled recurring restart. And when you do that, it activates the drop-down list and the checkboxes. So you can say, okay, I want to restart my sim at, let's say, 3 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And when you do that, it will submit that and will save those options for you on the website. And then the system behind the scenes, you don't even have to be logged in, you don't even have to be on the grid, you don't even have to be on the website. The system will restart your sim for you automatically at those times on those pre-selected days. So that's another feature that, to my knowledge, no other grid has. Backups and restores and the automatic restarts. To my knowledge, nobody else has that. That's part of the Power Tool suite that we offer all of our regions, or all of our region owners. Yeah, it does send like 2 minutes prior to when it actually does the restart. It will send a message to anybody and everybody who's on the sim, but it sends it in like local chat. It doesn't actually bring the pop-up down on the right-hand side, upper right-hand corner. So you may not see it. So be familiar with when the restarts are occurring, and make sure that you're not on the sim. And also, you know, if you're running a mall and you have tenants, make sure they're aware of when those restart times are, so they're not on there when they get, because it'll just kick them right off. No, it won't shake the screen. You'll just get booted. It'll just boot you. Okay, that's what will happen. So, you know, once you set these times up, then just be aware that that's when the system will restart it. And like I said, 2 minutes prior to the restart, it will send you a warning. But if you happen to be AFK, or if you're not paying attention, you know, you might not see it. So just remember when those times are. Yeah, put out a sign. Let your tenants know when those restarts are occurring. That would be helpful for them. We're going to be, and I'm not sure if he has the list of backups in the next one. No. When you do after you create the restarts, it will list and will show you on your admin page there on the website, underneath your list of regions. It will show your schedules of when your sims are restarting. Right now, currently on the website, if you want to delete a scheduled restart, you have to select them individually and delete them. I'm modifying that right now where you can check multiples and delete them all at once. So if you've got lots of regions and you're restarting, let's say you've got 10 regions and you're restarting them each once a day, well, that list can get pretty lengthy. So I'm adding the ability to select multiples and purge them all. In the case, in fact, I just had somebody recently who said, can you just delete all my scheduled restarts so I can recreate them, because they wanted to change the times. And going in and doing them individually was just time consuming. So I'm adding that ability to do that. So that's important. Anybody have any questions regarding that? Going once? Okay. Go ahead, Abby. What's your question? Will it affect everyone if I restart all my sims at the same time? No, it shouldn't have any effect on anyone. Only the people who might be on your sims at the time, they would be affected. Yeah, you know what, Charger? I'm going to be adding those so that you see the free one that you got with the BOGO sale. So you'll be able to back them up individually. But here's an important point to remember. The BOGOs, when we did those, the free sim and the paid sim run within the same simulator. So when you restart one, it's going to restart them both. So keep that in mind. But you can do backups individually, though. Even though they're running within the same simulator, you can still back one up and back the other one up, and it will keep those backups unique to each other, or unique from each other. But the restarts, it's both. Okay, so that's important to know. Okay, just some other basic region information. Only the region owner or the estate owner, the owner of record, the person who's responsible for paying the tiers to the grid, that person has access to the upgrades, downgrades button. They can do the cancellation through the website. So if in the event you want to cancel your SIM, or upgrade your SIM or downgrade your SIM, you do that through the website. Shutting your SIM off, selecting the region name and saying shut down is not the same as canceling your SIM. When you select, and let me see if I can bring up this slide again. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Let me go back. I think I have to go back to see what I'm looking for here. Previous. Okay, the one before that. The actual region list. I'm not sure if you can see it in this screenshot, but if you select, like, if you can see this list here, if you click the select link to the left of the region, it activates all the appropriate buttons: upgrade, downgrade, change payment information. So you would use that for a situation where, oh, my credit card expired and I need to change my payment method. That's the kind of scenario where that would become useful. If in the event you want to cancel, you can select and click, and there's a link underneath this. You can't really see it because of the black text, but there's a link there that says here. You know, and it's like a hyperlink, and you would click that, and it would submit an email to us and let us know. And then that's the proper method for doing a SIM cancellation. So shutting your SIM off or setting it for sale to me for $1 or one Paolino, that's not how you cancel your SIM. It just needs to be done through there. Or you can go directly into PayPal and cancel your payment profile. Those are the two methods for canceling a region. Okay. Yeah, you'll still get billed because some people do shut their SIMs off, but for various different reasons. So I'm not going to make an assumption that just because your SIM is not running, you want to cancel it. Just like I'm not going to assume, go back to backup restores and no copy. Sure. Correct. They're gone. They don't get backed up. The reason for that is because, you know the reason for that. It's a good question. Obviously, you're thinking about it, so you know, yeah, they're gone forever. So if you need to recover them, you need to go to the vendor or go to the person that you purchased them from. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's that. Just trying to make sure I cover everything. Really quick, going to go over the different types of regions. We have economies. Yeah, that's for security reasons, and we don't want to contribute to copy botting, which is essentially what that would be if we were backing up all the no copy items. Yeah. Yeah, so we want to make sure that that's correct. So that's I'm glad you brought that up. We have a couple of different types of regions. We have economy, we have elite, we have educational, and then we have landscape. Economy is 15,000 prims. That is for, that the covenant for that is residential, light commercial. Elite is obviously put anything you want to put on there, malls, clubs, whatever. Landscape is for scenic, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like a scenic sim, boating, just an outdoor kind of, like a landscape sim. Can't think of it. There's a word I'm trying to think of and it's not coming to me. So that's what that's for. And the economy is, like a park or something like that would be good. A good example. And then we have the educational sim, which is, I think it's the same number of prims as the economy, but it's a reduced rate for any educational organization. Like a school, a university, whatever, they get a discounted price. Yeah, accredited schools. Okay, to talk about that real quick. We also have what's called a rogue. And I mentioned this earlier. A rogue is an acronym. It stands for Region Owner Appreciation Gift. Again, to my knowledge, I don't think that any other grid has this. After 6 months of continuous or uninterrupted ownership of a region, you qualify for a rogue. A rogue is either a free landscape sim or a prim bump to your existing region, and the choice is yours. But the sim becomes eligible after 6 months of continuous uninterrupted ownership. So that's kind of a cool, perk. I don't think anybody else has that. We also do stipends. A stipend is an amount of in-world currency per month per sim. So if you own an economy region, you would receive, I think it's 400 Paolinos for an economy region every month. Those get sent out close to the first of the month is when we process those. An elite is 600. We do not do stipends for landscapes. If you own multiples, then you would receive a stipend for each. Okay, and that's a thank you from the grid for being here and being a landowner, and because we do appreciate it. Without you guys, there would be no Island Oasis. So that's our way of saying thanks. Okay. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk. I'm trying to spread the word. Good. That's good. We like that. We like people spreading the word. We're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about lag. We're going to talk about identifying the cause, doing some troubleshooting. First, I'm going to start by defining it for you. Lag is caused by, in general, in most cases, lag is caused by slow speeds, and that could be network speed on your end. It could be network speed on Positive Avatar Grumpiness. That's true too. Network speed on our end. It could be your computer. It could be your viewer. There's lots and lots of different contributing factors to what can cause lag. In most cases, lag is usually network related. Now, it could be network on your end, it could be network on our end. But typically, it's network related. Now, there's other causes too. For example, let's say you have an average computer, but you have your viewer settings set to ultimate. You're going to experience lag because your computer cannot support the high-end graphics that your viewer is trying to render on your screen. That can cause lag. Having your draw distance set too high for your video card, that can cause lag. Another contributing factor is sim performance. because we're not above saying, hey, the problem's us. And in certain circumstances, it can be us. But sim performance is oftentimes, dependent upon how well the sim is managed by the owner, and this is ultimately why we're having this workshop. There's lots of contributing factors to that. Physics, if you've got an excessive amount of scripts, either vehicle scripts or particle scripts, both use the physics engine and therefore can cause lag. Be careful with SL scripts you bring over from Second Life, and even scripts you bring over for InWorlds, because, contrary to popular belief, InWorlds is not an OpenSim grid anymore. They no longer use the OpenSim core as we know it. And so, and they have their own scripting engine now. So, if a script runs well there, does not necessarily mean it's going to run here or run well here. So that's something to keep in mind. I've had sims with up to 2,000 scripts on it and they run fine. I've had sims with 1,000 scripts on it and it crashes every day. A lot of times it's not necessarily how many scripts, but what type of scripts are they, and where did they come from? Were they brought here from another grid? Are they written inefficiently? Because you get a lot of people who claim to be scripters, but in reality, what they are is they do a lot of copy and paste, and they're not really sure or certain of the impact of the script that they're writing. We can help you with that in situations where you have a script and you're unsure. I can take a look at them for you, but script efficiency is very important. I'll give a good example. I was building something and I needed a door script, and I had a door script in my inventory from way back in 2011 when we first opened the grid. And I popped the script in there and the door ran great. It opened, it closed, it worked on collision, it was great. But when I looked at the script more carefully, I realized that there is like 1,000 lines of code in this script that don't need to be there, because the script was initially written for a whole system that's no longer part of that anymore. So the script was doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you didn't necessarily are aware of that was causing lag. So scripting is important and has a huge impact on sim performance. Vehicle scripts. SL vehicle scripts will cause problems here. They have a different physics engine, therefore the scripts are different. Another potential cause of lag, is excessive mesh or sculpt items on your sim. If you have lots and lots and lots of mesh, that will cause lag. Now, certain amount of lag is expected. I mean, obviously, you're never going to have a situation where your sim is not going to have any lag at all, because that's just the nature of virtual worlds. But try and manage it, and try and keep an eye on, particularly if you have a mall and you have tenants bringing content in, make it your business to kind of keep an eye on what's actually being imported. I can send you some links that will give you all that information that you want. And it gets into detail about the scripting engine, the physics engine, and the kind of information that you would need if you're going to be doing any kind of scripting. Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's our responsibility to make sure the servers and simulators are running, but region, making sure that someone's not bringing in a ton of mesh and a ton of bad scripts onto your sim, especially if they're like a tenant of yours. You're the sim owner. That's your responsibility to keep an eye on that. If you need our assistance, we are available. Okay, but those are just some things to keep in mind. To know how to troubleshoot and fix a problem, you kind of have to define what it is. Mesh is beautiful, and mesh can be really fun and can be really cool. But yes, if the mesh is not made well, it can cause problems. If again, same as scripts. If it's inefficient or if it's not made well, it's and some viewers can't see mesh. So we're seeing more and more because we have our own viewer. We encourage everybody to use the new viewer. More and more people are seeing mesh now, but you're always going to run into that too. Next section I wanted to talk about was troubleshooting lag. What do you do if your sim is experiencing an excessive amount of lag? I mean, like I said, some lag is acceptable and expected even, because even if you've got an empty sim, but if you have avatars on your sim, you're going to have some lag because people wear scripts. I don't know about me, but I think Sugar is wearing like 30 scripts right now. And mesh. Just the presence of an avatar has the potential to cause lag, even if you have no prims and scripts on your sim. Just having avatars can cause some lag. But if it's an excessive amount and you're not really sure what's causing it, let me give you some pointers and some things you can look at. Start by going into your viewer. If you look in your viewer, there's a world menu at the top, and then there's an option that says region details.
If you want, go ahead and follow along with them, so that way you can have a more visual other than the slides we have.
Yep. Okay. So if you go to World, Region Details, if you're the owner or state manager, you should have access to a good portion of these options here. The one we're concerned about is the debug tag, or debug tab. This section here will show you where to go to see your top colliders and your top scripts. And what this will do is we'll list the items on your sim that are causing excessive amount of collisions, or scripts that are using an excessive amount of what we call script time. Free range breedables, yeah, that's a sim killer, no doubt. Excuse me. So top colliders, top scripts. It will list them. You can sort them by the script time. Let me see. I don't know if he's got the screenshot where he's showing. All right, here's the scripts. If you look at the columns in this dialog that's up on the slideshow here, on the far left you'll see a column called time. If you have scripts that are using an excessive amount of processing time, it will list that time there. You can sort that list by that column. And if you see any scripts in there that's using, let's say, more than 5 or 10 point whatever milliseconds, then that script is potentially causing lag. And that's something that should be addressed. It's either written inefficiently or yeah, it most likely the script is written inofficially or it was imported from SL. Yeah. So it's a combination. You can either have a situation where you have, only a few scripts but they're using lots of script time, or you've got a ton of scripts but they're all using very little, but collectively they're all using a lot of script time. Either of those scenarios can cause lag. Top colliders, collisions between avatars and physical and non-physical objects can cause lag. So the top colliders list will show you those items. And the beautiful part of that is you can actually see the item, click it, you can teleport to it, or it will show you the beacon to point to the item, and then once you get there you can return the item or do whatever you need to do with it. So it allows you to work with the items on your sim. The other tool that I like to use, it's also under the world menu, and I didn't say anything to Will to get a screenshot for this, is the area search. That's kind of a valuable tool. You can list all the prims on the sim. or you can do a find or filter. So I can find anything where the owner or creator is by such and such. And I can select the item, and then from this list I can actually teleport to the item. I can return the item right from there. So that's a powerful tool as well. It's just something to keep in mind. These tools are all available to you through most viewers. The last thing I want to talk about a little bit about troubleshooting lag and kind of identifying lag is the statistics window. And we get into that by using the Control-Shift-1. Control-Shift-1 brings up a statistics window. If you all want to do that right now, you can kind of see what it looks like. At the top, it's sort of broken down into sections. The basic area at the top covers FPS, which is frames per second, and I think what we call ping sim and packet loss. And without getting into too much technical detail, we'll do this when we do the advanced workshop later. The FPS is frames per second. That should be somewhere in the range of 15 to 30. I've seen sims where it's been as high as 50. Like right now, I'm running 15 to 16 frames per second on this sim. That's pretty good. That's not bad. That's the amount, that's the frequency in which the frames on my viewer is being updated. The faster that is, the better, smoother movement I'm going to see in world. That's one that's really affected by your graphics setting. If you have your settings set to ultra, but your graphics is really only good enough for high or medium, you could see, that number drop dramatically. So that's just something to keep in mind. Packet loss, is basically internet traffic travels in packets, and if the server and the viewer is sending packets back and forth and they're being lost somewhere between the 2 points, that's going to show you the percentage of packet loss. That number should always be 0. If you're noticing any number be above 0 with packet loss, that's going to cause lag, because it's going to have to continue to resend that packet, and you're going to notice lag. That's a network issue. We've had situations where we were having problems with our network here, and people were experiencing packet loss, and the lag was just unbearable. And it was an issue with our ISP, and we had to get that resolved. Ping sim, really quick, that's the amount of time it takes for data to travel from your viewer to the simulator. And it's measured in milliseconds. How fast does it take for a packet of data to travel from your viewer to the simulator and back? If you see a consistent number above, let's say 200, there's a slow connection somewhere. Could be on your end, could be on our end. And again, when we go into the advanced workshop, we'll talk about how to troubleshoot, how to identify where that is, where the slow connection is, and how to resolve it. If it peaks, that's okay. It's just you don't want to see it a consistent number above 200. So that's that. Those are basic troubleshooting steps for lag, identifying lag, what might be causing it, and how to identify it and then address it. And we can, again, if you're experiencing those types of things, do what you can to try to identify the cause, and then contact us if necessary, and we can assist you. And the screenshots here are kind of the odd shape of them. I think they're not really showing very well. This one's not bad. Packets in, packets out. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about is the backups again. Kind of get back to the backups. We do backups of our own on a daily basis. Every region on the grid is backed up. These backups that we do are separate and different from the type of backups that you guys will do on the website. When you do a backup, it saves that backup as an OAR. It's all self-service. You can back up when you want. You can restore when you want. But we do backups of every region on the grid every morning between 4 and 4:30 a.m. Those are SQL dump backups. They're a little bit different. Those are for disaster recovery. And yes, Diana, those are also sent offsite to the cloud. So that way, should the grid explode or our servers burst into flames, we can recover. That's the intention. The purpose of the two types of backups are different. The OER backups are designed for you, for your convenience, in the event that you accidentally delete something, in the event that you accidentally return something. That's what your OER backups are for. Ours are for things like, let's say, something happens that was beyond your control. The grid, something happens, it's a grid issue, and we need to restore. We lose a server, that type of thing. Those backups are what the disaster recovery backups are for. They're not for your convenience necessarily as they are for disaster recovery. We've had some people request that we restore backups to their region from ours, from our disaster recovery, because someone deleted a building or forgot to do something and they didn't take a backup. And we have, in the past, restored their SIMs from our disaster recovery backups. We can do it, but that's not the intention of those backups. So moving forward, should you request a backup from our disaster recovery backups, there will be a $10 charge for that. But you guys have the ability and you have the power to do your own backups so that you can properly maintain your SIM. Please take advantage of those tools. That's what they're there for. Letting Sugar here type and say who. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Our backups, if I get a request from you to restore from a disaster recovery, I may not get it for a day, get to it for a day or two. If you guys, I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can, but I can't guarantee that I'll get to it within 24 hours. Let's say, for example. However, if you guys are taking backups, then you can restore them whenever you want at your convenience. So please, leverage that tool. Use that. All right, we're creeping up on an hour here. 6 o'clock. Got a lot of information crammed in the past hour. So I'm going to open the floor for questions. If you guys have anything you want to ask, feel free to ask on voice, or you want to type it, that's fine too. Yep. The power tools. Yeah, I believe that she has video tutorials out there for region backups. You did restores and restarts, right? Yeah. Did we have the scheduled restarts back then? Okay, you did. All right. All right. The trick to getting a radio working. It's the same as any other virtual world. If you have a radio with a script in it to change the stream, we have scripts in here that will do that. You have to. I think there's a place in the estate settings or maybe in the land tools where you have to enable media. Or is that a user preference? Is yours grayed out here too? On this sim? You have it here. Okay, so yeah, it's a sim setting. I think you have to go into world. Is it under parcel details? Options. No, I think it's in the, let me check real quick for you. I think it's in the region details where you can enable media. No, it's not there. Okay, and we'll be putting this one up there also. Yeah, Charger, if you wanna, if you wanna teleport me to your sim after, I can take a look at it and see if I get sound on your sim. But you should be able to do that. Yep, no problem. Does anybody else have any questions before we close out today's meeting? All right, see you, Wizard. Take care. Okay. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for coming. We're going to be posting this video up with the rest of the tutorials, and we're going to be planning on doing a more advanced workshop in the future, in the near future, as like another installation for this, so that people can become even more educated in, you know, how things work in troubleshooting. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to come here. I think you guys will be glad that you did. You're welcome.